Hello guys, welcome back to the next part of our series where we are making this MERN stack application, and from this part we are going to start work on our backend. So before I start coding, I just want to quickly show you two things. First, I want to show you I'll be using this MongoDB Atlas for our database. So I know many of you would already know this, but I'm just showing quickly. So how MongoDB Atlas works: basically you would have to have an account on mongodb.com, and once you are logged in, then you would have to create a project and create a cluster. I have already done this, so I have created a project and created a cluster as well. So to build a cluster, you would have to click this button, and then you can select these free ones, so AWS and then North Virginia, and then create cluster. It might take a few minutes, but it doesn't take that long anyways, but I'm just trying to save a little bit time here. Alright, so the next thing with this database access, you would have to create a user or add a user, which means this would be a different from your login details. So it is just a database user, so you would have to give a username and a password. So to connect the application to to the database, then we have to click this connect button and the second option here which says connect your application. If you click this, then you would be able to grab this URL. The only thing you would have to change in this URL, this password, which would be your password, the one you gave here as a database access user. Okay, so the other thing which I want to show you is this Postman. I know many of you already know this. So I'll be using Postman to test our endpoints. So yep, if you don't have it, just Google it, download it. It's pretty awesome too if you want to. So going back to VS Code then, and open up my terminal, and I'm going to cd into server folder, and in this server folder I'm going to initialize npm, so npm init, and I'm gonna do -y because I'm too lazy to answer those questions. So if we open up here, and this will generate a package.json for us. What I like to do is basically I'm gonna change this index to server.js. You don't have to, but if you just want to do the same thing as I am doing, so just change this. Okay, and the next we are going to install our dependencies for our application. So npm I, which is install. So the first is going to be express, of course, for node.js, and then mongoose for mongodb. And for validation, I'm going to use a package called express validator, I believe it is called. So validator, and we are going to use .env package to have our variables in environment variable in this file. Okay, and the other thing I'm going to install is basically Bcrypt to hash our password, and of course Json Web Token for authentication purpose. Okay, so these are the main dependencies for our applications. So I'm gonna quickly pause the video and come back when it is done. Okay, alright, so we have our dependencies ready here. So next I'm going to do is npm install two more dependencies, and these dependencies going to be dev dependencies. So first one would be node mon, and the second one would be concurrently, if I can see, concurrently. So these are going to be dev dependencies, so -d. So with nodemon, I'm just trying to explain a little bit here. I know many of you know this, but I'm still trying to give a little bit of information. So nodemon helps us to instead of with Node, every time you save anything in your file, then you would have to manually restart your server. So with NodeMon, it would keep looking for changes and it would restart the server by itself, so it would save a lot of time for you. So, and with concurrently, it would let you have one script tag, one script to run client side and server side at the same time. So this is why I'm I'll be using it pretty much when we are done with the server side and when we go back to client side. Okay, so next I want to go in here and do two scripts. Okay, first one would be start, which would be just node, and then we're going to do server because our main file is going to be server.js, and then I want to do another one which is going to be I'll name it server, and this is going to be NodeMon and then server. Okay, and save these changes and close this. And now in this server, within the server folder, we are going to create a new file which is going to be our server.js, which is our main entry point. Okay, so now here I'm gonna go and do const express, and we are going to require express. Okay, and then const app, and here we are going to initialize express. And next here I'm going to define a variable called port, and here we want to check if the application is in production or development mode. Okay, so we want to do process.env port or 5000, because our client side would be running on 3000, so this is why I want to run it on 5000. Okay, so we would do app.listen, and here we want to listen for port, and then we want to do a callback here just to let us know what is happening. So I'll do a console log, and here I want to put a backtick and say maybe server started at port and then the port. Okay, which is going to be port. Okay, so let's just test this. I'll just clear it. I'll make it a little bit, I hope you guys can see it. So as we have our script, so what we can do is we can do npm run server. Okay, so this will do the NodeMon for us. Okay, so it's node. So now we get our this message, which means our server is running. Okay, so the next step I want to do is basically I want to connect our server to the database. So in this server folder I'm going to create another folder. I'll name it config, and in this folder I'm going to go and create another file. I'll name it db.js. okay, and for this here we are going to require our package.n, and we need, the way it works is basically we just do this. Okay, and the other thing we need here is mongoose. Alright, and we're going to require mongoose. Okay, and as I said previously, we will be putting our variables into a file called .env. Okay, so here I'll say URL, and we'll paste our URL, and here I'm going to change the password, which is going to be same as my username. So as we have this URL here in our env.env file. So what we can do is basically go here and do const, and I'll just do maybe URL, and then we can just require, and sorry, not require, my apologies. So the way it works, basically the process.env, and then we name the variable, but we have URL with the capital. Okay, so oops, so with this done, now we are gonna go and create a function called, I will name it connect to db maybe, and this is going to be an arrow function, and here we need to do a try catch. Okay, oops, try catch, and I want to mark this async. Alright, and what we want to do is basically await and mongoose.connect, and we want to pass our URL here, and we have to pass an object here to avoid some deprecation warning in our console. Okay, so the first one would be use new URL parser, use new URL parser, and we are going to set it to true, and the other one is going to be use unified I think it is with unified topology, and we are setting it to true as well. And the last one is going to be use create index, and we are setting it to true as well. Save it, and once it is successful, I'm gonna give myself a message, so maybe a console log, and we want to connect to MongoDB, and if there is an error, then we want to console error. Okay, and then we will do error.message. Okay, and we want to end the process by process.exit. We're going to do end. Right, save it, and then of course we want to export it, and we are going to export const connect db, sorry. So once this is done, what we can do is go back into server.js. Actually, I'll just close this, and in here we will bring in our connect db, and we need to require it from oops, too many dots, from config and then db. Okay, so next we can just connect to database. Okay, and then we can just call it, and if I save it, it should give us a message here connected to MongoDB. So great, so we have created our basic server which is connected to our database as well. Okay, so next you want to define our routes. So before I do this, we want to initialize a middleware because we're going to pass the data. So we're going to use express.json. Okay, and here we will pass extended to true, and that's going to be true. Alright, so for the routes, instead of keeping these all routes in this main file, I'll keep them in a separate file, so maybe in a separate folder. So I'll create a folder here, routes. Okay, and in the route, the first one we are going to handle basically is going to be a register.js. okay, so with this route we wanna grab an information from our form, which by the way we haven't created in our client side, because I would still go back and create a login page and register page for our excuse me, for our React application. So I just left it on purpose because I just wanted to do this first and then go back and do the authentication and integration with the client side. Okay, so with this register route, we going to use routers. Okay, so router, and there's going to require express, and we're gonna do a dot and router. Okay, and with this register route, this is going to be a post request, and it will be a public because people would register themselves from this route. Okay, if they are not already registered. There will be another route to log in. Okay, but to register, this is going to be a post request to this register.js. okay, so for now I'll just do request and response, and I'll just say res.send user registered, and save it. And of course we have to module.exports, and we are going to export our router. Okay, so to use it we are going to do app.use, and here we want to see if someone hits this register route. So then we are going to require here, and we are going to look for sorry, why I keep putting two dots. Okay, so we're gonna go into routers and then register. Alright, so if someone does at this route, if someone does a post request, it would go into this. Okay, so now quickly just test it. So if we do a post request, and this is going to be a HTTP, I actually have this here. So if I do this and send a request, see what we get back. So user registered. Alright, so this means it is working. Okay, so but we don't want to do this. We don't want to do this. Okay, so as I said previously, we will be getting some information from the form. So the information we will be getting is basically name, password, sorry, name, email and password, and this is going to come from rec.body. Alright, this is gonna come from our client side, a form. Okay, so however I don't want to we want to do some validation, okay, on the server side as well. So as I said previously, I'll be using express validator. So the way it works, basically we grab two things, check and validation result, okay, and this here we are going to say require, and we're going to require express validator. Alright, so just gonna go here, and oops, sorry, and the way it works, we need to put the brackets here, sorry, and probably put it on the separate line so we can see it better. So in here we're going to do checks. So we're gonna do first check, and in the first check we are going to check the name, and we also need to put our message if the name is not there. So I will say please provide a name. Okay, and the way we check it, I think is not is empty. I think not is empty. I hope I'm so if that's the case, then this will be the message. Okay, and then I'll probably put these on separate lines, so bear with me. And the next check is going to be email, so we will see if there's an email. So if there is no, then we need to give a message, so please provide a valid email. Okay, and we will do is email for this check. And the last one we would need is going to be a check, and this check is going to be for password. And we want to do a please provide 6 characters long password. Okay, and then we want to do is length, and then we want to pass min and number 6. Okay, so the way we check these, basically we have done the checks, and then we need to grab the validation results. Okay, so I'm gonna go and create an constant here, errors, and this is going to be validation results, and here we will pass request. Okay, and then we want to do an if condition. If errors are not empty, okay, then what we want to do is basically, oops, sorry, this was meant to be outside of it. Okay, so here we want to return res.status, and the status is going to be 400. Okay, and we want to do a JSON as well, which would be an error, and this would be errors dot array method on this errors. Okay, this is how it works with validation, express validator. Okay, so if that's not the case, then what we want to do is, for now I'll just do res.send, maybe I don't know, success, something like that. So we just want to check if our validation is working okay or not. Okay, so let's just go to header, and in header we're gonna do a content type. Content type is going to be application / JSON, and then in body we're going to do a raw, and in here we are going to do a JSON, and this is going to be name. I'll put my name here now, and then the next one is going to be email, and I'm gonna do, on purpose I'm gonna do a wrong email. Okay, so the Gmail, and I'll leave .com. Okay, so I don't want to do .com. So, and also with the password I want to 1 2 3 4 5. I just want to do 5, so we can check our validation if it is working okay or not. So if we send a request, so something went wrong, what I've done, errors dot error, oh sorry, this was meant to be array. Okay, hopefully. Okay, now if we go back and if we resend it, So there we go, we are getting our errors. Okay, so which means our validation is working fine. So if I hadn't put this name here, so we would get third error as well. So let's just fix it, so we see everything is okay. And I'll put 6 and send it again, and we are getting success. Okay, so which is good. So far so good. So our validation is working fine. The next step is to grab this name, email, password and create a user. So to create a user, we should have with Mongoose we should have a model, and to create a model we need a schema. So I'm gonna save this and go to back to our main folder and create a new folder here, models. Okay, so that's models. In the models we are going to create with capital U user.js. okay, so here we are going to use Mongoose, so I'll grab Mongoose and we are going to require Mongoose. Okay, and the first thing we need to create a schema. Okay, so this will be a user schema, and that would be Mongoose dot new Mongoose. That should be a new Mongoose dot schema with capital S. Okay, and we need three things: name, which would have a type of string, and required is going to be true. Alright, so I'll just copy this and paste it 2 more times. Okay, and then paste it again, and I'm going to change this to email, and here we are going to put another one which is going to be unique, and we are going to say true. Alright, and the last one is password, and this is going to be same as and next we can do is module dot export, and we are exporting our model, so which will be created with Mongoose dot model, and here we will put a name for our collection, and then here we will pass our schema. Alright, so this will create a model user and export as well. So now we have created our model. So what we can do is close this and go back into this register.js, and here we can bring user model. Alright, so I'm gonna create a constant with capital U and user, and here we are going to require which is in the models and then in user. So since we have users, so instead of creating user straight away, we should check if the user already exists. So to do this, here I'm gonna go and do a try catch, not try catch. Okay, and I'm going to mark this function async. Okay, alright, so I'm gonna create a variable with let with named user with small u, and here we are going to await, and we are grab onto user, which is our model, and then we will look for find one method, and we will be looking with by email and with this email. So we can just instead of doing email, so we can just do email. So if we find a user with this email, then we are going to do an if condition, and if there is a user, then we want to return, and we want to return is res.status. The status is going to be 400, and we want to give a JSON, and in here we want to put a message. Message would be user already exists. User already exists. Okay. Exists. Just checking my spelling. Is this? This should be exist. Okay. So we will send this message and we will return. Okay. So which means we won't go any further. So what if it doesn't exist? So then what do we want to do? Okay, so we will use the same user variable. This is the reason I'm using let here. Alright, so we wanna do is user, and here we want to create a new user which is with our model. Okay, so here we want to pass our name, then email, and then password. Right, and this will create a new user for us with this model. Okay, with this user model. So once we have created user, next step is to store or save into database. However, we shouldn't save user's password as a plain text. So what we need to do is hash the password at Bcrypt. So what I'm going to use here is a package called Bcrypt, which we already have installed. So Bcrypt. Alright, and with the Bcrypt it returns a promise. So what we will do, the way it works, basically we need to generate a salt and then use that salt to hash the password. Okay, so I'm gonna go and create a variable called salt, and then await here and do Bcrypt dot gen salt. Okay, and we need to pass number of rounds for that salt, so which is 10 is standard for 2019. It may change in later. So next we need to hash the user's password. So what we can do is basically user dot password, we can set it to Bcrypt dot hash, and here we will pass password and salt. Okay, and this will hash the password, user's password. Okay, right, so now we can save this user into database. By the way, I just forgot one thing here. I was meant to do await here, so let's just do that. So user dot, actually we need to await this, await user dot save. Alright, so once user is saved, then what we can do is basically we would need ID of user to later use this to have access to private routes or authenticated routes to get into. Okay, so however we wouldn't use ID straight away, so we would need something called Json Web Token. So I'm gonna go up here and bring in our Json Web Token, so JWT, and here we will say require, and we will require Json Web Token. Okay, and save it, and then go back here, and for Json Web Token we would need a payload. Okay, and the payload is going to be basically an object, and this object would have user with an ID, which would be user.id, which is going to come from this user. Okay, so we are basically setting this ID to this user's ID. Okay, so we would be using this in the payload of Json Web Token. So with the Json Web Token, we need to sign it. So JWT was it Json Web Token, then we do the sign method on it, and we need to pass payload, and the other thing we need to pass here is a secret. Okay, so however, I don't want to put my secret here. Instead, I would put in my env file. So let's just go into this, and here we will say maybe secret. Okay, and this is going to my little secret, and we will save it. And I'm just gonna go and copy this, and here we will do process dot env dot, and then oops, sorry, I think because I do a lot of typos, so I'm being careful. So alright, so with this with payload and secret, we have signed the JSON Web Token, and here we can optionally pass an object, and which can have expires in things like that. It can have multiple things, but I'm just doing the expires. So this means the token will be expired after that much time, so maybe 3600, and this would have a callback with possible error and a token. Okay, and if there is an error, of course, if there is an error, then we wanna throw the error, throw error. Otherwise, we want to res.send an object with token. Okay, so I want to handle this catch as well, so we will do a console dot error, and here we will do error dot message, and we want to res dot status, and the status would be 500 maybe, and we will just do send, and here we'll say server error. Okay, and save it. Now we should be able to register a user, and then grab a token with that user. So before I do this, I just want to refresh this cluster and go into collection and see if there is, because I was testing the same. So I'm gonna go and drop anything here, so I'll just drop it. Alright, so cleaning my database, because I'll be using pretty much same credentials. Okay, so let's just go in here and we will send it and see what we get back. So there we go, we get the token back. So what it is doing is sorry, okay, so if we go to our database and refresh, it is registering the new user and then storing into database, and then sorry, it's pretty slow. Alright, so see, we have the user, the same credential, and then hashed password, and it is putting this ID into this payload, and then signing up a token, and then generating a token, and then sending us back a token. Okay, So this is how we get the token with Json Web Token. Okay, the next route is going to be an auth route. Basically it is going to be a post request, another post request, which would be public as well. So if user is already registered, so they can use their credential to log in. So let's just do that one quickly. So I'm gonna go in here and do auth.js, and in here basically I'm gonna go and copy all of it. Sorry about the noise, guys. So Control C and Control V, and this is going to be very similar, but we wouldn't need this name, and with this email, and with this instead of $length we would check actually exists. Okay, and save it, and after this we would definitely do our validation, and we wouldn't have name, we would have only just name and password, email and password. And if what we want to do is we want to check if the user already exists, because of course if he is there then we can log in, otherwise we can't log in. And we can just change this to, if not, then we change the message to maybe invalid credentials. Okay, so if he does exist, so by the way we didn't need to do this, we don't need to hash in, and we are not storing into database. Okay, right, so I hope I'm not making it too confusing it for you. So basically we will be grabbing the email and we will checking if the user is there. If it doesn't, then we will return this and we will say no, the user does not exist. So if it does exist, then we want to check the password, and the Bcrypt has a method compared. So this is what we will use to see if the password matches with the with the password stored into database. Okay, so here I will create a variable called maybe match, and then we'll await, and we will do bcrypt.compare, and here we need to pass password, and we need to pass user.password, which is in the database. Okay, so if they do match, that's good. If they don't, then we want to return. If not match, then we want to do pretty much the same thing we did up here. So I'll just copy it and paste it. Alright, so if both of these cases pass, then we want to do this exactly the same thing. We want to sign a payload, we want to sign Json Web Token with the payload and then secret, and then exactly the same thing, and we will get back the token. Alright, so we'll just save it. We'll quickly check this route as well. So this is going to be an auth. Okay, so sorry again about those noises, guys. The kids. Alright, so this is we wouldn't need a name, so let's just on purpose I'm gonna do a bad one first. So send, so we are getting an error. It should give us a server error or validation, I don't know. Cannot post, because we haven't defined our route yet. So I'll just copy paste this one, and then do auth and then do auth here. Alright, save it, and then we will go back again and resend it. So there we go, we are getting our message invalid credential because on purpose I did 1 2 3 4 5 6 sorry 5 instead of 6. Okay, so let's just do the correct one, so and resend it, and we should get our token back. So there we go, we have our token back. So with the token, now we will use this token to access protected routes. So the first protected route would be in this auth.js, which would be a get request. Okay, so to do this, first I'm gonna go and create basically middlewares. Okay, so we would need a middleware to do this. So in this server folder, I'm gonna go and create a middleware folder, and in this middleware folder we are going to create another one which is going to be auth.js. so this is going to be a different from this route.auth.js. this is just a middleware, okay, for authentication. Right, so in this auth.js we are going to require, if I can spell, we are going to require .n, and we're going to do .config on it. Okay, and the next we also would need our Json Web Token, so require Json Web Token and save it, and here I'm going to create our auth middleware. Right, so here this is going to have request, response, and next, because all the middlewares they have next as well. So because we want to do next, what happens afterwards. Okay, so with the token, basically we will be sending the token through headers. Okay, so it will be in request.header, and we can give it any name and value. So I'll just do auth dot hyphen maybe token, authentication token. So we will send through the header. Okay, so if there is, first thing we want to check if there is a token. Okay, so we will see if there is not token. If there's no token, then we want to return. Okay, we want to return, and we want to res.status, and this status is going to be 401 unauthorized. Okay, and here we were going to do JSON and MSG maybe, and no token, access denied maybe, I don't know, no token, no access, or no token, no access denied maybe, access denied. Okay, so if there is no token, if there is a token, then what we want to do is basically do a try catch. Okay, so I'll do a try catch, and here we need to verify our token. Okay, so we'll do a const decoded. Alright, and here we will do Json Web Token dot verify. Alright, so before we sign it, here we need to verify if there is token, then we will grab the token, and then we will use the our secret, which is in our variable .env file, and I think that was keep forgetting what I named it. So this is just gonna copy it, so paste it here. So this will grab the token and it will verify with this secret. Okay, so once it is verified, then what we want to do is basically request dot, we want to do a user, and we want to set it to decoded dot user. Okay, so which is going to be an ID basically, and then we want to do call our next. Okay, and if there is an error, then we're going to do a res dot status, and the status is going to be a 401, and then JSON would be maybe a message MSG, and the message would be invalid token. Okay, so and this is it pretty much. All we have to do is basically export our auth middleware. Okay, so module dot exports, and we are going to do auth. Okay, so now we can have this auth middleware to protect our private routes. So I'm gonna go back into this auth.js route. Okay, and here we are going to bring in our auth middleware, which is going to be in middleware, and then in auth. Alright, so the route we want to protect is basically, I just put it above this, maybe above this route, and this is going to be a router dot get request, which will actually eventually grab the user. Okay, so now is rec and res, and here we want to put our auth. Okay, which will protect it, our this get request on this auth.js route. Okay, so I'm gonna go and mark this async, and here we're going to do a try catch. Okay, and here we are going to create a user, and we're going to do a wait, and we're gonna grab our user model and do find by ID, and this ID is gonna come from rec dot user dot ID, because if you remember we put this in our request. Okay, and however we don't want to select everything for this user, so we may want to select or deselect actually password. Okay, so this will grab the user if it is authenticated. Right, so once we have the user, what we can do is res.json, and then we can send the user back, and if there is an error, then we can just console dot error, and then we can do error dot message. And next we can do is res dot status. The status is going to be 500, and we can just send a text saying server error. Alright, and that's it pretty much. So hopefully it works. So we know we can register our user, we can log in, and we can but we want to access this get user, which is a protected route. So I'm gonna do a get request, and this is going to be to auth with this, and however we need to put this token. Actually, let me just I hope it is not expired, so let's just try anyways. So we're gonna grab this token and go into header, and here we're going to say auth token, and we're going to paste it here, and then we have this, and actually we don't need this, it doesn't really matter even if we don't have it, because we are sending in this header. So if we send it, we should be able to get the user back. So now we can get the user back. So it is getting the user apart from the password, because we did minus the password. Okay, so I know it's been a long video already, so what I'm gonna do is pause here and make another part of this backend, because I think it's gonna be too long if I keep doing. So in the next part, what we're going to do is basically do the guests for a user, and so we will create a new schema, a new model, and then we would be able to add guest, remove guest, delete guest, update guest, and the CRUD operation basically. So and we would be able to each user would be able to have its own guests instead of others guests. Okay, so far what we can do is we can register a user, log in a user, then we can of course get a user with this authentication. Okay, so far that's what we have done. So I'll see you in the next part, and thank you so much for watching. If you are still watching, I know I'm pretty slow. So yeah, as I said in the start, if you feel like you're pretty slow, you can change the playback speed in this and watch it a little faster. And again, apologies, because if I'm not explaining well, as I said, it is a slightly hands-on project, and I'm expecting the people who are watching this, they know the basics, so I'm not explaining every bit of it. So I'm sorry about that. And yes, please do remember to subscribe. Okay, I need subscribers, so I wanna make more and more content. So I love this thing, and I do want to be part of it. So but I need subscribers, please. So remember to subscribe, and share as well if you can. So yeah, I'll see you in the next part, where we will start working on our guests.